Hello everyone, my name is Daniel O'Brien. I'm the creative director for Cracked and the author of 2 books about presidents and how crazy they are. And true story, I once wrote an ill-advised article called "So You've Kidnapped the President's Daughters." And the government made us take it off our website, sent us a subpoena to get the information of the people who commented on that article, and brought me into the downtown LA office of the Secret Service for questioning. And since then, I get randomly stopped 3 out of 5 times that I fly. There's a picture you can see. That's a random TSA search tag that appears in almost every bag I've ever checked since I wrote my lightheartedly treasonous article about what to do if you've ever accidentally kidnapped the child of a sitting president. I am almost certainly on at least one list that someone in the government has to monitor, and yet I can still vote in every election. I would like you to, at this point, please note my crushingly inescapable whiteness, as that is almost definitely a factor, and my now upper middle class financial standing, which is 1,000,000% a factor. That's right. Today, we're talking about race, class, sex, voting rights, and f***ing. And yes, I included f***ing to hold your attention, even though sex won't actually play a factor into the story, but holy sex! Let's get a title card in here. I agree with you that everything is terrible everywhere, and there are moves being made right now to take away healthcare from the people who need it the most. And we have an unhinged president who is blowing into the lit kindling of a small spark that will bloom into a full-blown forest fire of increasingly warlike tensions with North Korea. But I believe with every part of me that the Republican drive to revamp voter registration laws is stealthily the most important political issue of our lifetime. Sorry, all of the other very important issues, but this is where I'm planting my flag. There is a lot of legislation coming out right now about voting rights, and let's get into them. Iowa recently passed legislation that claims to work to fight voter fraud. For many years, politicians and lawmakers have been preaching about the sheer amount of elections swayed by the votes of illegal, unregistered voters. Nefarious people are sneaking into our country, so the narrative goes, to vote in our elections legally to support the candidate of their choice. Politicians like Kansas's Secretary of State, Kris with a K, Kobach, have been warning us about this problem for years. And even our president has preached about the threat of undocumented immigrants who are voting. It's why he claims today that he would have won the popular vote if we didn't count illegal votes. He brought up the possibility of widespread voter fraud as potentially the only reason he could lose the election while on the campaign trail. He cited a study and everything.
The following comes from a 2014 report from the Washington Post. This article was entitled, "Could Non-Citizens Decide the November Election?"
Politicians are now rushing through a number of bills that, on paper, combat voter fraud and make sure every election is fair and no longer tainted by illegal voters trying to sway an election for their evil purposes. The problem is there is no problem. Widespread voter fraud isn't, according to the most recent studies, a thing. Documented voter fraud is virtually non-existent. Widespread voter fraud is literally a non-issue. And in fact, that study that President Trump liked to cite on the campaign trail that we talked about earlier, A, has since been debunked. B, he misquoted it. And C, it was initially born as a study designed to investigate specifically why immigrants who come to America choose not to vote. True story. The author of that paper looked around and discovered that immigrants and refugees and other international transplants by and large choose not to vote in American elections, made a study about it, and somehow this is the study that Republican lawmakers cite when attempting to stir up fear on the subject of un-American voter fraud. So, we know that there hasn't been an instance of widespread voter fraud influencing an election in modern politics because widespread voter fraud isn't a thing, and most eligible immigrant voters choose not to vote, let alone ineligible voters. So why are we even talking about this? Great question, convenient rhetorical device, because here's the important part. All of the fear-mongering about massive voter fraud is done to drum up support for legislation that is designed to keep certain politicians in power. Politicians are systematically making it more difficult for people to vote, oftentimes using the rationale that these new laws stop voter fraud. We now know that this is a politically convenient solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Every voter registration law pushed forward is designed to discourage poor people, old people, and minorities from voting. Why? Because when those people vote, Republicans lose their seats, so they're trying to change the voting laws to make sure they keep winning and keep their jobs. And I know, Cracked is decidedly a nonpartisan entity, and we have never come out officially one way or the other for a particular party, and I don't want to alienate anyone, but we've got 2 parties, and one of them is trying to change laws to ensure they stay in power by making sure people who disagree with them can't vote. Undeniably, that's what they're doing. And if anyone out there can drum up convincing proof that I'm wrong about that, I will happily make a follow-up video where I take a heated needle and carve, "I was wrong. Progressives like me and Teddy Roosevelt are liars, and voter fraud is a huge problem," onto the side of my dick. And yes, there are 7 U's in huge. Anyone who has ever been systematically disenfranchised by the system is suspicious of voting, and anyone who feels like the system works for them isn't, and Republican lawmakers know this. So threats to voting rights come in the form of voter ID requirements, elimination of same-day voter registration, cutting short early voting periods, and purging voter rolls. These measures disproportionately impact low-income voters, people of color, and seniors. Republican lawmakers add steps. They add bureaucracy to voting because it discourages a huge swath of people from voting. This makes voting into a luxury in this country. I am a well-paid person working a bullshit job, which means I'm allowed to say, I'm leaving early, or I'm coming in late to vote, or not coming in at all, and it doesn't matter if I'm there or not, because my job is nonsense. But since Election Day isn't a national holiday, thanks Obama, plus everyone, the working class of this country need to fit in voting around their jobs, and adding bureaucratic steps that take time do nothing but discourage hardworking Americans from voting. Today, I can tell my boss that I'm taking some time to vote, but 10 years ago, when I was poor and waiting tables, I couldn't. To put it even more simply, I was not free and eligible to vote for what minimum wage should be until a decade after I was being paid minimum wage, which in New Jersey at the time was $5.15. Today, we're trying to make it $15. Fun stuff. Hell, President Trump just launched a committee to investigate voter fraud that will be headed by Kris Kobach from before, who was truly revolting. He is a racist, snake-eyed maniac who has dedicated his entire life to making sure people who don't look like him can't vote. Every law for voter suppression is based around adding time, work, and money to voting, because Republicans know that that drives away people who are likely to vote against them. It is a proven fact that in modern politics, when more people show up, that is to say, when it is easier for Americans to vote, Republicans lose. When it comes to new legislation, it is the job of every American to ask, will this help me and my family, or will this help a politician keep his or her job? As for right now, we're in a perfect storm moment. We have a president who is so egotistical, insecure, and sad, and lonely, and frumpy, and he's got a world-class dumper, just a giant, sloppy, sloping, Play-Doh ass of an ass, and I can say whatever I want, because I've already been investigated by the Secret Service. I have a book called How to Fight Presidents. I don't care, come at me, eat shit. And in addition to that, we have a bunch of feckless Republicans desperately trying to keep their jobs. The president is a baby who wants to be told that he won the popular vote, even if he didn't. So he wants to change the way we count votes. And the Republicans see this as an opportunity to change voting laws to make sure they keep their jobs forever. Duplicitous cowards are co-opting an insecure egotist to silence Americans to save their jobs. That's the shortest version I can think of to tell you what's going on right now. Here's how to help. Jason Kander, who served most recently as Missouri's Secretary of State, Chief Elections Official, and also he's like funny and good, we like him, has launched Let America Vote to make sure there are political consequences for those who are trying to make it harder for eligible voters to cast their ballots. Before, we could count on the DOJ to fight these issues in court. But now that Jefferson Beauregard, I can't even think of a more racist fake name to assign to him, Sessions the third, is in charge, we can bet that our government will not be a champion of voting rights anytime soon. Let America Vote is shining a light in areas where lawmakers don't want it, like the weird back rooms where they make these deals to restrict voting rights. You know those rooms. There's a room full of people who want to ruin life for the rest of us. It's like a giant room, it's crazy. Access to the ballot box underpins every issue, from healthcare to immigration to raising the minimum wage, and we need to make sure it is not stomped by politicians who are looking to keep their jobs. Call your representative today and say, hey, get or, nope, more constructively, go to letamericavote.com/join to find out about how you can get your hands dirty and stand up for voting rights. Or the get option. A lot of good options on the table. Mostly the second option is the good one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Make sure you click the big C in the middle to subscribe. Click any of the boxes that have other videos in them to see other videos. Make sure you click on that dumb YouTube bell so YouTube will tell you when we make a new video. Go to letamericavote.com/join to find out how you can help, or purchase my book, How to Fight Presidents. All proceeds go directly to me, a voter.